What? 24 years? Holy crap, this movie's officially older than me. Hi, I'm Kitty Monk, and I'm here to talk to you about South Park, or more specifically, their first and so far only theatrical venture, bigger, longer, and uncut. Ugh. No, I'm not just reviewing it because Doug Walker did. I barely even watch his videos anymore. Do none of y'all remember Change the Channel or what he did to Fellas? Honestly, I did not want to review it. I was saving it as a potential subscriber special. Maybe when I reached 100k, but y'all twisted my tail. Wait, arm. What am I saying? South Park is probably the biggest show I review. And let's be honest, it has a huge cultural impact. The movie is no exception, and in some sense, it did contribute. As the film approaches its 24th anniversary, again, holy crap, you might be wondering what I think about it. And, well, let's discuss. But first, let's give some background, just to show you the sheer scope of it all. During the late 90s, South Park stole the place of Beavis and Butthead as that one cartoon every parent complained about, because it's co-opting the youth. Hey, at least South Park never got a kid to burn down his trailer. And yes, I know that never actually happened. Kinda like Beavis and Butthead, the show became so popular that talks of a movie came about. And again, because of Beavis and Butthead, they wanted the South Park movie to come sooner rather than later. If you recall, Do America came out right before the show's final season. However, production wasn't all peachy keen. First off, there was the production schedule. South Park is so topical because they make episodes super quickly. Effectively, it takes about 6 days most of the time, and a lot of all-nighters. Many writers camp out at the studio, and many animators work 18-hour shifts. Even if I dislike the fact South Park only airs 6 times out of the year, plus 2 specials, I kinda get why. Matt and Trey aren't as young as they used to be, and they both have families and other business ventures. With this movie, they effectively had to work on the show during the day, which, keep in mind, the show is produced so on the edge that sometimes they finish the episode like a few hours before it even comes out. They had to do all that and then afterwards go produce the movie. It was like working 2 jobs, especially at a time when South Park had way more episodes and a more consistent schedule. Not helping was the MPAA. Like I said, South Park was known for being extremely controversial back in the day. Now imagine how that would fare as a movie, where the standards are much laxer and you can get away with much more. And the creators insisted it had to be rated R, not PG-13. And the pair also had a lot of controversy with the MPAA when they used to make indie movies. This time, because they were bigger, everything they wrote was put under a microscope. When something was rejected, they would follow in the lead of Batman the Animated Series, where they'd submit something 10 times darker and worse and passive-aggressive. Let me just read an excerpt from one of the memos from Matt Stone. Re-MPAA cut number 2. Here is our new cut of the South Park movie to submit to the MPAA. I wanted to tell you exactly what notes we did and did not address. We left in the scenes with Cartman's mom and the horse as per our conversation. This is the one joke we really want to fight for. Call with any questions. Matt. P.S. This is my favorite memo ever. Things were so stressful that by the end of production, the movie was essentially produced as a series finale, as the creators believed they burned every bridge in Hollywood. But it did succeed. It made a lot of money at the box office, and the show continues to this day. Alright, all of this raises a huge bar. Time to see what the movie's really about. Let's discuss. The movie opens up one quiet morning in the boring, podunk, white trash mountain town of South Park. Stan Marsh, who is clearly different from that loser Stan Josh, wakes up and gets ready to go to the movies to see a foreign film from Canada, Terrence and Phillip. We meet the other boys, and we also meet their parents.
Can I have $8 to see a movie? A movie?
Yeah, it's gonna be the best movie ever. It's a foreign film from Canada.
All right, here you go. But be back for supper.
This is very important. None of them bother to look up the movie in the newspaper or ask what it's about. Perhaps most interesting is, in the case of Kyle, to establish how much of a nag Sheila can be and how much he fears her. He doesn't say he's going to the movies. He says he's going ice skating. The most scolding they get is Kenny's mom telling him he has to go to church, which big whoop, he can easily go to the movie after church. And when he refuses, she just says,
Well, fine. You go ahead and miss church, and then when you die and go to hell, you can answer to Satan.
Well, to be fair, Carol, even if he went to church, he would still go to hell. He's not a Mormon. Another good part about the opening song, Mountain Town, is how it also foreshadows other important plot lines, like Saddam Hussein being in hell, Sheila thinking she knows what's better for everybody more than they do, etc. The intro to The Boys is also pretty good. I get it, South Park is a show and a cultural icon. Most people going to the movie probably at least know the basic gist, but that doesn't apply to everybody. A movie is still its own separate product, adaptation or not. It's good to know they took that into account. At the movies, the boys are shocked to find that, like most kids back then, they aren't allowed in. Why?
Terrence and Phil have been rated R by the Motion Picture Association of America.
But why?
Because this movie has naughty language.
Also fart jokes and boobarellas and a dictator. Rather than buy a ticket to a PG movie like most kids did back then and just sneaking in, they instead pay a homeless man to get them in.
He says this movie isn't appropriate for you.
Look, Mr. Homeless Guy, if you don't want to buy us tickets and not get your $10 and not go buy yourself a bottle of vodka, then be my guest.
Seriously, only $10? The movie begins and we're introduced to Terrence and Philip. There, the boys are exposed to naughty language.
You're such a Philip. Oh, you master.
Wow.
You know, this movie is giving me ideas for my own life. What's worse is how they go into a song called Uncle... Fun fact about this song. It was originally entitled Mother... Okay, I'm really trying here. The problem was that would have led to an NC-17 rating, which is a rating you do not want, as only people 17 and older are allowed, regardless of whether or not they're with a parent or guardian. This was probably the only change Matt and Trey appreciated because they admitted it made the song 10 times funnier. Plus, it fits more in line with Terrence and Philip being immature comedians who make up their own curses. What else could I say? Oh yeah, almost forgot. The thing that makes this movie stand out is the cursing. Not the Terrence and Philip movie, the movie overall. This movie holds the Guinness World Record for most swearing in an animated movie, with approximately 399 curses. 139 of those are the F-bomb. This song features that word over 31 times. That's quite the achievement, as it does it in a way that doesn't seem like they're just saying it for the sake of it. Because of the movie, the boys start swearing, as now they want to be like Terrence and Philip. Well, I'd say Kyle is the closest because he has a Canadian brother. At Stork's Pond, we're introduced to the other South Park students, most notably Wendy, Stan's crush.
Hi, Stan. Gross.
Wait, weren't they dating back then? I don't know, it depends. Wendy has been skating with a new kid named Marius Pontmercy, but to simplify things, we'll call him Gregory, of Yarddale, with a 4.0 grade point average.
Who are you, kid?
My name is Gregory. I just transferred from Yarddale, where I had a 4.0 grade point average.
Is that really an achievement? I knew a kid in high school who had a 5.0, literally, because all he took were IB and AP. Stan feels threatened by Gregory because he seems perfect, and Stan's only noteworthy achievement is he snuck into an R-rated movie. At school, their behavior gets noticed.
Think I know the answer, Mr. Garrison? Shut up, fat boy!
Hey, don't call me fat, you
Eric, did you just say the F word?
Well, no offense, Garrison, but you said the R slur.
Okay, now let's try to get an answer from someone who's not a complete...
So who is at fault here? Both of you. Actually, this is another topic I kinda want to talk about. Just keep it in mind. For mouthing off to Garrison, the boys are sent to Mr. Mackey's. Okay. At least they got in trouble for that, and not for skylarkings. That is somehow worse. Their mothers are called in.
What did my son say, Mr. Mackey? Did he say the S word?
No, it was worse than that.
The F word?
Now, one thing I like about the movie, which I did not notice as a kid, but now notice as an adult, is how they point out the hypocrisy of it all. The parents are mad at the boys for cursing, despite the fact they do it on the regular. Something you might not know about me is, in real life, I swear like a sailor. It just doesn't come up here because this is YouTube, and I also like to maintain my adorable factor. It's for the same reason Mike Judge refuses to allow Beavis and Butthead to use an F-bomb. No, seriously, look it up. Growing up, I was always told not to curse, and I would always ask, why can't I curse but you can? The answer would always be, because we're adults. Now that I'm grown up and often find myself around impressionable little kids, I get it. A kid might not know the right time and place to curse or how to do it correctly, so to most people, it's better to just tell them not to curse altogether. Think about it. You could tell them they can only curse around you or at home, or they get used to it and then they slip up and curse in public. However, I'm kind of the opposite. This approach doesn't work for every child. In my experience, the more you tell a kid they can't do something, the more they're gonna want to do it. It's one of those things where they're gonna do it anyway, so you better be sure they do it right. Something I feel most people and most shows forget when it comes to saying why cursing's bad is they never say why it's wrong to curse. They just say it's bad. They don't say it's inappropriate because nobody wants to hear it, or it's embarrassing, or you're too young to know the proper context, and that's something the mom should have done. Instead, they just ground them. Wow, it's like putting a band-aid on it. The one thing I will give Sheila is, unlike her compatriots, while she is kind of a hypocrite, it's not because she curses. Really, she's like the only character who doesn't curse once in the movie. Except like this moment right here.
What the heck is a...
Oh, why, that's when you put your legs behind your head and have someone...
That's a nice touch. Anyhow, Sheila learns that the boys heard the naughty words from the Terrence and Phillip movie and decides that her alter ego of Soapbox Sadie is gonna take up a new cause. And she's gonna need a box of Ultra tampons before this is all over.
Children are now addicted to
You
your
are a racist,
filth.
ma'am. You are a racist.
It is going to take us weeks to erase the damage this film has done to our children.
Later, Stan wants to know what he can do about Wendy, so he goes to Chef.
Chef, how do you make a woman like you more than any other guy?
Oh, that's easy. You just gotta find the...
Chef, Stan is like 10, don't tell him that. Still, this puts Stan on his quest to find the magic lady part. As a result of Terrence and Phillip, Sheila begins a campaign to take down Canada. First, she goes on the news.
Of course children are gonna see it.
Can I finish? The fact is that we Canadians are quite surprised by your
You
outrage.
just don't care.
Can I finish? Hello? Can I finish?
Yeah, Sheila, let him finish.
Can I finish? Please, can I finish? Okay, I'm finished.
See, he had a point. Wait a minute, didn't this already happen? I mean, later in the series, but hey, this is a pretty good jumping off point. Okay, one complaint, although pretty minor at the moment, is the movie's not original, so to speak. Terrence and Phillip were created to make fun of parents who complained about South Park, and probably were also inspired by the parents who complained about Simpsons and Beavis and Butthead. This led to the episode Death, where the parents try to get the show canceled or die trying, literally.
As the day progresses, more and more South Park residents continue to slingshot their bodies into the side of the Toon Central building.
They do succeed, but they find that the alternative's not as good. And as Terrence and Phillip was playing even after that, and was successful enough to get its own movie, their efforts might have been for nothing. Now, to their credit, the writers only take the bare idea of parents doing whatever to get a show they don't like off the air, but with movie adaptations, this can be a little lazy. Remember when SpongeBob made a heartfelt episode about Gary running away because he felt neglected? And then remember when they adulterated that plotline by turning it into a movie and a 90-minute ad for Camp Coral? Or all of those amazing Bob's Burgers episodes, the Wonder Wharf two-parter, Burger Wars, Bob Day Afternoon, Earsea Rider, and on top of not doing much to to raise the stakes, they strung them all together into an 80-minute movie, which made things all the more anticlimactic. Yeah, outside of the reveal with Bob's mom, I was not a fan of the Bob's Burgers movie, and that's a crying shame. Point is, while I will admit South Park isn't the first nor the last show to do this, it's still a problem when it comes to adaptations. And if you say it for one, you clearly gotta say it for all. The boys are sent to Mr. Mackey's for rehab, and one song and dance later, they're considered cured.
You can take the rest of the afternoon off for personal reflection, okay? Find your own constructive way to better yourself, okay?
Oh, you weak idiot. Everybody sneaks into the movies once again, where they start to enjoy a scene of Terrence lighting a fart on fire. Wait, that can really happen? Don't try it. And wait, maybe it's because I was born the same year the movie came out, but did you guys really do this? Like, constantly keep going back to the movies over and over to see the one movie if it was still in theaters, at least until it was out on VHS and or DVD. Did you see The Exorcist 167 times? Because I heard it keeps getting funnier every single time you see it. The boys decide to try it themselves to predictable results.
I'll bet you $100 you can't light a fart on fire.
Okay, off topic. This never occurred to me until now, but part of me wonders if they took inspiration from Beavis and Butthead. During season 3 of Beavis and Butthead, they had an episode entitled Comedians, where Beavis juggles newspapers on fire and burns down a comedy club.
Now I'm gonna, juggle.
Go for it, Beavis.
This is gonna be cool.
Shortly after this episode aired, there was a report that a 5-year-old boy had burned down his family's trailer and killed his little sister because he was imitating the show. The media was quick to blame Beavis and Butthead, and they ended up getting a fudge load of restrictions for episodes future and past, and this led to the Beavis and Butthead we know today, for better or for worse. Only the neighbors revealed to the press that the family never had cable because they couldn't afford it. And the boy himself confirmed 10 years later, like in 2008, that he never watched the show. His mother just wasn't properly watching him. Unfortunately, the damage was done. Whenever other incidents came up, Beavis and Butthead would be blamed, only for the victims to repeat something like, "Oh, I never watched this show," or "Oh, I don't have cable." I'm guessing this moment in particular was based on the trailer park incident, as in, what if that really happened? Would it still be right to blame a cartoon? Maybe, but you should also blame the parents for not watching their children. It's a bit of a long tangent, but come on guys. Matt and Trey have been open about the fact Beavis and Butthead was a major inspiration for South Park. Remember Bill and Fosse?
That's good. That's good.
Or Damien? He was supposed to be voiced by Mike Judge. Back to the movie. To their credit, everybody tries to help Kenny, but nobody thinks to, I don't know, throw a bucket of water on him or tell him to stop, drop, and roll.
Oh my god! You killed Kenny! Well, I guess you can light a fart on fire, huh?
Can you? Don't try it. Disclaimer, don't try it. The 40s are watching and somebody was tempted to try this. I promise I did not give them the idea. No, I can't be sued. I legally wash my hands of it. South Park's medical team cannot help Kenny because they make things 1,000 times worse. They bring him back to life, basically to tell him he's about to croak.
Kenny? Son, I have some bad news. We accidentally replaced your heart with a baked potato. You have about 3 seconds to live.
Oh my god, they killed Kenny. You knew that was coming. Speaking of, why do the parents blame the movie and not the hospital? Don't get me wrong, Kenny saw a movie he definitely should not have been seeing, but the doctors did not do their jobs either. The moms easily could have sued the hospital or used Kenny's case as a class action lawsuit, but no. For killing Kenny, the boys get grounded for several weeks.
Grounded? And you, Stan, come on.
And you're grounded for 3 weeks, Eric.
Again, which might seem like an underreaction until you remember Kenny dies like once a day. This is likely a conversation they always have. While the parents bicker about who deserves punishment, Kenny ascends to heaven, which is full of naked ladies. Scratch that he ain't a Mormon. Meaning that unlike Gary or Joseph Smith or the the Osmond family, he gets to go to hell. Down, down, our soul is cast. The path of fire leads thee to the gates of H-E double hockey sticks. Fun fact, this whole song, like the sequence of Kenny going into hell, wasn't sung by Metallica. It was sung by James Hetfield, who is not Metallica. He's James Hetfield. I mean, Adam Levine's not Maroon 5. He's just a poser. Because of Kenny's death, Sheila rallies the parents together, well, mostly the mothers, and forms Mothers Against Canada, aka MAC, because they have to blame Canada. Sheila, don't you remember how your own adopted son is Canadian? Well, hey, maybe Sheila doesn't hate Canadian people per se. She hates the Canadian government, because you're allowed to hate or disagree with one and not the other. I'm not trying to say it's fine to be racist. I want to be absolutely clear about that. But no, she hates Canadians too. She even calls them out for having beady little eyes and flapping heads all full of flies.
You Canadians are all the same with your beady little eyes and flapping heads. You're trash.
I resent that. I find that...
Ugh, racist. And here I thought Randy was a Karen. The parents decide to arrest Terrence and Philip and put them on trial for corrupting America's youth. And they do it on Conan. Holy crap, I'm old. I still remember when he had a show on TBS. Whatever happened to late night programming? The boys sneak watch the show and witness their parents arresting Terrence and Philip.
Mothers Against Canada is placing you under citizen's arrest.
Mom? Dude, what the hell's going on?
We have a court order for your arrest.
So which is it? As it turns out, Conan arranged the whole thing because money talks. This obviously leads to a war with Canada, as Canada testifies before the UN how stupid it is, and everybody just laughs at them.
The fuss is about taking our citizens. It's about not censoring our art. It's about... What's so goddamn funny?
But what is all the fuss about, eh?
This is not about diplomacy. This is about dignity. This is about respect. This is about realizing that humor is...
Dude, tell that to Sheila. I bet she speaks Canadian. I mean, she has a Canadian son. Wait, where is Gerald? This is before trolling. Also, while the US government goes to war with Canada, I'm surprised this wasn't a bigger conflict, as in World War III. I could totally see them doing this today. Think about it. Children watch naughty things, not just in the US, all around the world, provided you come from a country that has a TV. What if Sheila becomes a global phenomenon, or other such events happen in those countries and they're blamed on Terrence and Philip? It could be like 100 countries versus Canada. Ugh, they had their chance and they blew it. The war happens when the Canadians kill the Baldwins in retribution.
No, this is Billy Baldwin. If you want Daniel Baldwin, call his extension. Stupid!
The who? You mean Alec Baldwin, right?
They're probably all on their periods or something.
Wendy and I think that was a sexist statement.
Well, I'm sorry, Wendy, but I just don't trust anything that bleeds for 5 days and doesn't die.
I know. Most women get emotional before their periods, not during. Even though that does happen, but gone. Hopefully, you learned your lesson as Janet, dude. In retribution for the retribution, the US government decides to kill Terrence and Philip in 2 days' time.
Now it is time for us to send a message to Canadians. In 2 days' time, the war criminals Terrence and Philip will be executed.
Wow, you guys really suspended habeas corpus, huh? Sheila is made the president's secretary of offense. Wait, the president? Why does Joe Biden look like that? Back in hell, Kenny comes face to face with the big man himself, Satan. Satan decides to torture him. Kind of rude, I mean, he just got there. Until Satan's newest boy toy stops him.
Did you hear the news? A war just broke out up on Earth.
Meet Saddam Hussein, my new partner in evil.
Okay, I thought I could avoid this for as long as possible. Guess I can. I will admit the movie is funny, but it's a tad dated in terms of references. The movie came out in the 90s, and you can pretty much tell. Brooke Shields, Bill Clinton, Saddam Hussein. It's still a great movie, but it probably would be more great if you got all the references. Imagine if the movie was made today, how differently it would be. Instead of dating, say, this guy, I could see Satan dating Putin or something like that. The Kenny scene probably wouldn't be that shocking, all things considered. Again, the cursing, not so much. Come on, Wolf of Wall Street apparently beat out this movie. Then again, hey, even though it's not as shocking, it's no less enjoyable. And hey, maybe this does fit in with South Park's mindset of being made for the now. Elsewhere, Cartman attempts to rally the children against Sheila by singing Kyle's mom's a stupid B word in D minor. Really? Is this version in D minor? I'm not sure.
What?
And while his efforts are for naught, this does get the kids thinking. Cartman, for his part, gets embedded with a V-chip. As explained,
it is placed under the child's skin, where it emits a small shock of electricity whenever an obscenity is uttered.
We will start putting V-chips in all our children next week.
Weird they never revisited this plot point. You'd think she would want to do it to Kyle first, or threaten him. At least it's that and not Child Tracker. Mothers Against Canada gets to work destroying anything Canadian. They burn everything in a giant pile. They start to round up Canadians to send to happy camps, where they will die with a smile. It seems Cartman's ditty did get to Kyle, because he realizes he's being too much of a chicken S, and decides to stand up to his mother. Only his mother won't listen.
Mom, can I talk to you for a second?
Kyle, what are you doing here? You are grounded. Now get back to the house and stay there. Futures!
You started a war. You have to stop it.
To make them safe again.
Hello?
Realizing they're fighting a losing battle on their own, they ask themselves the big question. What would Brian Boitano do? Well, he'd rally up the people to fight a rebellion, and then he'd go figure skate in the Olympics. He is a hero. Skating is hard. I tried to do it once, and I almost broke my ankle. And this was before I even got on the ice. In hell, Kenny goes to spy on Satan and Saddam. As they're about to do it, devil dog style. That pun sucks. I'll try to get better. Satan is excited when he hears news that Canada and the US are about to fight a war, because if Terrence and Philip die, he will get to rise out of the depths of hell and conquer the world.
I love when you get all biblical, Satan.
And now, when the blood of these Canadians touches American soil, it will be our time to rise.
And then afterwards, if possible, Detroit, because where's he supposed to go? The boys get on the computer, and after watching Leanne in a movie I can only describe as a German prequel to Two Girls, One Cup, they send an invitation to the other kids, telling them they will have punch and pie.
Sneak out after you get tucked into bed tonight and meet at Carl's warehouse. Tell him we'll have punch and pie. We're not gonna have punch and pie. More people will come if they think we have punch and pie.
Good on you, boys. Trust me, nobody comes to any group setting unless there's food. Wait a second, why not ask Butters? Again, this movie is like really dated. I think he's only actually in like one scene.
Yes, I saw the Terrence and Phillip movie. Who wants to touch me? Ooh.
I remember the first time I watched the Future specials, I was so upset Butters wasn't there until the ending. I think even Matt and Trey said if they ever made another movie, like a theatrical movie, Butters would be a main character. Guess that could explain Imagination Land. Actually, speaking of, funny story, apparently this movie inspired Butters. Butters is named and modeled after South Park producer Eric Stoltz, and Butters was his nickname, as it was short for Little Buddy. Eric irritated Matt and Trey during the movie's production, as on top of having to deal with the MPAA, they had to deal with Eric, who was a major goody-goody. Wait, I should save this for a future Butters video. Shortly before the meeting, Kenny's ghost comes to Cartman, and Cartman translates to the audience the exposition we just heard.
Oh, you poor dear. You've been through so much.
I bet him he couldn't light a fart on fire and now he's all pissed off. I can't say pissed off.
Well, as the doctor said, it was like telling a lie, and since that is a curse to you, the chip makes it so you're not allowed to say it. Anyhow, oh, it's just like me and YouTube, and it makes me so pissed. Cartman, I can say it unlike you. However, contrary to Kenny's tidings of 1,000 years of darkness.
No, darkness!
It turns out Satan doesn't want to go to the surface to rule over all of mankind. I mean, remember Damien? He easily could have, and he didn't take that chance. Because Satan is the biggest Disney princess, you knew I was using that meme. It turns out he really wants to go to Earth in order to be free. Subconsciously, to be free from a boyfriend who uses him as a living devil dog, and meet new people and try new things. Satan would be an amazing Ariel. Come on, he's red. The kids get ready for their little meeting, entitled The ABC Cafe. No, it's late, resistance. Sorry, I should have made it clear that Matt and Trey are huge Broadway nerds, just like me. Trey originally went to the Berklee College of Music in Boston before he transferred to Boulder, and he has a degree in music. So the movie is meant to make fun of musicals, most notably Broadway musicals, like Les Mis, because back then, animated movies were way more stigmatized, and if it was animated, you better believe it needed music. Song-wise, I appreciate them. I find myself listening to the songs on my own time, or whenever I have to write a script, because it puts me in that mindset. Fun fact, Kyle's Mom is one of those songs I listen to whenever I get angry or upset. Next to the Spam-A-Lot soundtrack, it instantly perks me up. The boys outline their plan to save Terrence and Philip from being executed during a USO show.
Terrence and Philip are supposed to be killed, so we think we should prank call a bunch of policemen and have pizzas sent to them that they didn't order. Viva la resistance!
E for effort. Gregory, on the other hand, comes more prepared.
Once the show begins, we should have about 1 hour to get Terrence and Philip out of their cell and into this clearing. There we will all rendezvous and together take Terrence and Philip safely back to Canada.
Wow, dude, Wendy's new guy is smart.
Which is bad news for Stan because he thinks Wendy is falling in love with Gregory. I guess it's revenge for the incident with Miss Ellen. And hey, maybe the kids' plans are a little better than the military's plans. Operation Human Shield and Operation Get Behind the Darkies? Oh my god.
Yes, soldier. Have you ever heard of the Emancipation Proclamation?
I don't listen to hip-hop.
What about peanut butter? You know that Lincoln was the one who invented peanut butter, right? You know that's why the Union and the Confederacy were able to get along, right? Because they lied about it. And now a secret organization keeps it a national secret. Do ya? Thanks to whoever watched my Roger video, American Dad is expected to pass the Dagmar threshold soon, if not already. Gregory gets the boys in touch with Zimmel, who will tunnel them inside, and they must hurry because they have one day more. This plan has a chance of failing tremendously, so Kenny goes to console a weeping Satan, who actually wants to have a real relationship with Saddam, but Saddam refuses to communicate.
Boy, I'm so excited. Just one more day until we can take over the world. I don't know if I can sleep, if you know what I mean.
This book is really interesting.
Elsewhere, there's a pretty touching scene of Kyle hiding his little brother from the American forces. Better put some cats up there, Kyle. Maybe Ike can cheese like his daddy. Or maybe they can get together and write a diary.
Don't worry, Ike. We're gonna put an end to this. And then I'll make Mom come home and we'll all be a family again.
Oh, but you do that now? Not earlier when the propaganda film came out? But no, right now. Some brother you are kicking the baby. Satan tries to break up with Saddam per Kenny's advice, but Saddam literally wins him over with a song and dance, swearing that he can change, he can change. Yeah, and I can ice skate. Everybody gets ready as the USO show is about to begin.
You realize that by doing this we could be grounded for 2, perhaps even 3 weeks.
We're willing to take that risk.
I mean, sorry to disappoint you, Zimmel, but they are already grounded for that long.
Oh, Philip, this is worse than that night I fell asleep and you put your in my mouth and took a picture.
I know, Terrence, I know.
Did one of you guys have to go to a Pray the Gay Away camp while the other showed the picture to his entire class? Do they have either of those things in Canada? Thankfully, to pad out the movie, Terrence and Philip are not executed right away. There's a bunch of other acts, like a dog, Big Gay Al, heck, even Winona Ryder? Oh my god, there's like a million jokes I could make. Something Heather's related. No, Beetlejuice. I'm sorry guys, I had my chance and I lost it. Granted, I will say that while I appreciate the song that Al sings, it's like the one song in the entire movie that doesn't do anything to further the plot in some way, shape, or form. You could have Al stand in place and talk for 2 minutes and it would be to the same effect. With It's Easy and Kay, the kids sang it to get out of the training. With Kyle's Mom, it at least got the kids to start to consider the idea of rebelling and introduce the V-chip subplot. I don't really think I'm Super does anything besides entertain me. Sorry, nitpick. The boys begin to run away, and in the struggle, the mole dies, meaning they have to rescue Terrence and Philip or his sacrifice will be for nothing. Terrence and Philip are about to be executed when suddenly the boys show up, and as Kyle can't stand up to his mama, look, no offense kid, this time there's thousands of people and it's not like you have to worry about the fate of all of mankind or anything, he can't do it, so the task falls to Stan.
I can't. You can't kill Terrence and Philip. If they die, Satan and Saddam Hussein are gonna come take over the world.
Yep, because clearly y'all forgot about the time he challenged Jesus Christ to a boxing match, and sent his son to screw up stuff at South Park Elementary, even turning Kenny into a duckbill platypus, as a little appetizer. No, this is just the work of a bunch of imaginative little boys who are trying their damnedest to get grounded for an extra 2 to 3 weeks. Terrence and Philip are about to be executed when suddenly Canada shows up, I guess to free them? The boys attempt to bring Terrence and Philip to the rendezvous point, as war and carnage break out all around them. Also, Stan finds the magic lady part. Oh, it took him more than 20 minutes. And unfortunately, I cannot show it, but that doesn't mean you can watch the movie on your own time. Trust me, you really should. I'm cutting out a lot of stuff. Things are looking dire. So dire that Cartman attempts to make peace with his longtime enemy.
Other times I said you were a big dumb Jew. I didn't mean it. You're not a Jew. Yes, I am. I am a Jew, Cartman. No, Kyle, don't be so hard on yourself.
Kyle, I hate to say it, but that's the best compliment you're ever gonna get from Cartman. At least you're not a ginger, or from New Jersey. Oh wait. The mothers witness everything and realize they went too far.
My God, this is terrible.
Duh. Where's Ryan's dead when you need him? He'll slap you. He'll slap you, slap you. Slap some sense into you. The only one who doesn't see the light is Sheila. Strangely, I thought Leanne would be the same way because all those German videos. The American Army and Sheila close in on La Resistance and the duo.
Stand down, children. You can still see fart jokes on Nickelodeon.
No.
No you can't because Nick moves all of them to Nicktoons or Noggin. They're not SpongeBob, dude. And finally, Kyle grows a pair and stands up to his mother.
Kyle! I'm not gonna let you kill them, Mom. What?
You go, boy. Tapping into his powers of pathos, Kyle tells everybody that he learned something today.
You never took the time to talk to me. Whenever I get in trouble, you go off and blame everybody else. But I'm the one to blame. Deal with me.
Aw, well actually Kyle, your mom did punish you and you went and saw that movie anyway. Again, I do think she could have done more, but don't pretend she did nothing. Stop lying to me, movie. This doesn't get to Sheila, who shoots Terrence and Philip dead, and even has the nerve to scold Kyle for swearing. As expected, as their blood falls onto American soil, the Hell residents come to the surface of the planet, which mostly just includes Satan, Saddam, and Kenny.
Good job, Miss Bloflowski. Thanks a lot.
I was just trying to make the world a better place for children.
Yeah, and you brought enough intolerance to the world to allow my coming.
Ooh, horseshoe. Speaking of, I guess this is a good point to reiterate a few things I believe about Sheila. Personally, I don't think Sheila is that bad of a mom, because next to Gerald, she's the most realistic. Come on, even Sharon has her moments. Sure, Sheila can be overbearing, but she does love her sons and her family. The problem is she thinks she can go out and protest. A reason I like Sheila is because it feels like she learned from this movie, which if you know anything about the South Park residents, that's a big deal. Whenever Sheila does something bad in the later seasons, it's usually because she's provoked into doing it, like in Troll Trace, or she's lied to. So yeah, once again, I don't think Sheila's a bad mom, just the most unpopular because of her role in this movie. To clean up her messes, Cartman taps into the power of his V-chip to Goku-style Saddam Hussein into a crispy husk. And eventually, he says every naughty word he can think of, including Barbra Streisand. And no, I'm not playing the clip. I'm sorry, it's just too funny. I don't want to spoil anything. Seriously, watch this movie if you can. It's on Paramount+. Plus, I kinda have to put food on the table. Cartman roughs up Saddam, just enough that Satan can throw him onto a stalagmite.
I have had enough of you!
Oh, don't worry, he can't go anywhere. Not even Detroit. Wait, but what about Bloomfield Hills? That's where Clarence went, and he lives at home with both parents. And Clarence's parents have a real good marriage. Out of gratitude to Kenny for acting as his armchair therapist, Satan says he'll grant him one wish. And Kenny, always the worst person to entrust with a wish, tells everybody what he has in mind.
What did he say?
He said that his wish is for everything to go back the way it was before this horrible war.
Kenny, you realize that means you'd go back too.
Wait, but Kenny's death was the catalyst for the war. Couldn't he come back in that case? Or couldn't he have just told Satan, I want everything to go back to the way it was before we saw this movie? Or in Kenny's speak, or did he learn that if he sacrificed himself, he would get to go to heaven? Or does he know that because of his immortality powers, he'll be back to the way he was by the time the credits roll? Or
I get it!
Okay, fine, I get it. The review's almost over. Satan takes Mr. Head and goes back to hell with Kenny, while his magic restores everything to normal. Sheila vows to be a better mother. Kenny takes down his parka and talks like Mike Judge. See, the Beavis and Butthead references went somewhere, and Wendy reaffirms her love for Stan.
Stan, I never really cared for Gregory. You didn't? No, dude, Gregory.
Ouch, come on. Part of that plan relied on Gregory. I get it, the movie's over. Yay! Wow, this is like my first movie review. That is, if we don't count my review on the Elf on the Shelf movie. It was more like a TV ad than a movie. Anyway, does the South Park movie still hold up? Yeah, maybe it's not as shocking as it was back in '99, but it's still good. And if this was the last ever episode of South Park, I could learn to live with that. Heck, maybe a reason it's boring for me is I watched it a bunch of times. There might be a fan out there just waiting to see this movie. If you're trying to get into South Park, I highly recommend you start with the movie. It's a good entry point. If not, you can always try Imagination Land. Hey, you know I've never watched that movie? Oh my god, review 2.
Guys up there is hold it.